Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Diablo 4 and Season 10. Today we're talking Mythic Uniques and how to best farm them. It's fair to say that we're all killing lair bosses a lot less this season, which, can I just say thank you for that? Diablo devolves every season into this instant kill boss simulator until they drop. And while they're still here, and a key source of uniques at that, things like chaos armor have really taken over the season, and lair bosses just don't provide chaos uniques in a consistent way. You're much better off going after Bartuk or doing other content for that purpose, which has encouraged some fresh longer term gameplay, which I appreciate. However, if you want Mythic Uniques, what are you really left with? Insufficient lair boss farming? Well, there is the classic method, which we'll explain still, with some changes that have happened. But with this season reputation system, there's actually another effective way to get the sparks repeatedly, while also engaging with the chaos armor drop potential at the same time. So we'll talk about all of it, starting with the classic lair boss farm thing, because one big thing has changed. In short, you have a lair boss system. There are Initiate, Greater, and Exalted lair bosses. Initiate have a chance to drop Mythic Uniques. Greater lair bosses have a better chance, and Exalted have the best chance. But obviously, to do a Exalted boss, Belial, you need to get Betrayer Husks from a surprise ambush, which is unreliable. So instead you do the Greater lair bosses, but then they need keys that you get by doing the Initiate bosses, so you're kind of forced into that loop either way. Fortunately, there are other sources of keys, but the main new thing in Season 10 is this. They introduced a new shield mechanic. So instead of doing a really irritating, long-winded, immune to damage phase, every boss now generates a shield at 2/3 health and 1/3 health. The shield gets bigger the lower the health, but if you're able to break through that shield within like 5 seconds, you basically bypass their immunity phase. So as you can see, when you have a proper build and you're in the endgame, you're killing them instantly again. Whereas in Season 9, we were really delayed. So, to farm Mythic Uniques for the drop chance, you want to just be killing bosses at the highest tier that you can. Ideally Belial because of his best chances, and if not, any of the 3 greater bosses, Duriel, Andariel, or the Harbinger. If you're forced to, Initiates still have a good chance. And yeah, you can get Mythic Uniques out in the open world. Whenever you get a drop, you might have a legendary, that might actually be a unique, it might be a chaos, it might be a mythic, but the odds are basically non-existent. If you're wanting to farm drops from Mythic Uniques, you just go do the lair bosses. On that note, be aware that you can just click on the lair boss location and directly teleport to it. You can also see the key requirements, so we can see that this one, Beast in the Ice, requires 12 Distilled Fear, and it even tells me how many I've got. It also tells me that it drops Pincushion Dolls, which as we can see leads to Andariel. So all the information is there in game and organised better than ever. I did say there are other sources of these drops though. For example, the Tribute of Titans. This is an Undercity run you can do to get lair boss horde keys at the end, which is a great thing. But if you're looking for Mythic Uniques, you can also find Tributes of Ascendance. These come in Resolute, which means the drop is for you. But if you get one that has the tag United, it means you and the whole party have this massively increased chance of getting uniques and Mythic Uniques at that. So when I was running it this season, I did 3 runs back to back of other people's united versions of this. And everyone in the group got a Mythic Unique except for me. Technically another option you have is the Purveyor of Curiosities, which is like the gamble system. You're basically just pulling an item. This might be a legendary, it might be a unique. If it's a unique, it might turn into chaos or Mythic Unique, but the odds are incredibly unlikely, of course. And in previous seasons, it was even more likely when you have Season Blessings help, which we don't have for this method in Season 10. Let's now talk about guaranteed Mythic Uniques. Come to any blacksmith, bring yourself to Forge Equipment and open the Mythic Uniques tab. Here you can spend 2 sparks to generate a random Mythic Unique. But if you don't want to do RNG, you can do a more expensive craft, which allows you to craft specific Mythic Uniques. Bring yourself to the Rune Crafting tab, you got Mythic Uniques, you see all of the ones that are in game and get information about them, which is great. But as you can see, it also requires 2 Resplendent Sparks and then 6 of different runes, some of which will be legendary, and so you can get these by trading with players in a very expensive way or finding them as drops. By doing basically any content, you might have runes drop. They're way more common now. They increased this in Season 9 and it's felt a lot better as well in Season 10. But the same methods still exist. If you bring yourself to the Undercity and do Tributes of Harmony, you can get a pile of them at the end. And of course, every time you kill a lair boss, there's a high chance one drops, and that's also a fantastic source for the legendaries too. But the other end of it is Resplendent Sparks. How do you get them? Well, you complete the current reputation journey and open the cache at the end to get one of them. You can complete the season journey this season to get another one, so there's 2 sources there guaranteed. You can also go kill a, say, even Torment 1 Lilith for the first time. That'll give you one. And then, of course, if you ever find a Mythic Unique that you're not happy with, you can dismantle it at the blacksmith, and that gives you 1 spark as well. So there's 4 sources of sparks. You need 2 for an RNG roll, or 2 plus runes to craft a specific one. But did you know there's a way that you can infinitely farm sparks? Taking the RNG out, and again, leaning into the other aspects of the game, like Chaos Uniques. Let's talk about that. If we bring ourselves to this town, Yelesna, the sort of southern east point of the Fractured Peaks, you can find the reputation board. When you complete this, you get the Resplendent Spark at the end. And when you've completed it, you can also get more rep and infinitely repeatedly get a greater Infernal cache, which is an insane source of Infernal warp, compasses, gear and gold, and importantly Chaos Uniques as well. But that's it for the one-time consumed rewards, some of which are incredible, such as the Resplendent Spark. At least on this character. If you make a new character, the reputation board is completely refreshed, and as you can see, we can progress it again, get all the rewards again, get a spark again, and these are all account bound. So as you can see, I can swap character and then open all this stuff up on my main. So if you're going to do something like that, you want to make sure your alt is the same class as the one that you're feeding your main. But yeah, it's completely doable, and it's easier than ever this season, thanks to this NPC here, Cheyenne, the Warp Purveyor. You can trade Infernal Warp for a Warp Scroll. A Warp Scroll for 250 Infernal Warp gives you 6,000 of the rep. So you can see I'm very close now, and I've got enough Warp to buy another one. So as I pop this, we hit the next reward, we get that infinitely repeating rep reward, and inside this one, I'm going to get more Warp, and I got, yes, a Chaos Unique. The thing is, you can buy those scrolls and then put them in your stash. And then you go to a new character who's got the fresh reputation board and consume all of them. This then boosts you through the reputation super fast, giving you all those rewards again, of which, by the way, there's tons of bonuses. Important resources for crafting, upgrading, masterworking and all that kind of stuff, compasses and, sigils, lair boss keys for farming mythics directly as another source of that. And when again you complete the reputation, you get another Resplendent Spark. This is an infinite way to do it. And as you can see, I've almost completed this reputation board with what I just did, which is about 50, 60-ish scrolls. And I gathered those in about an hour and a half in a pretty casual way. So I think it's very valid to say using this method, in 3 hours or less, you can have 2 Resplendent Sparks for a specific Mythic Unique craft as many times as you want. If you're worried about the process for making a new character so that you can actually consume the rep and do it on a new character, it's super straightforward. You just make a new character on the season. The very first seasonal quest takes you to a beach with a rift, you clear it in a millisecond, and then it takes you to the town where the reputation board is unlocked. It literally takes like a minute. So it's super easy. The reality is you're going to need about 90 of these scrolls, which is somewhere between 22 and 23k Infernal Warp. So how do you farm Infernal Warp very quickly? The answer is of course Chaos Rifts, which are the most reliable thing in 2 locations. Helltide, where you target the rifts as your main focus, or Nightmare Dungeons with the Chaos Rift affix on them. In my experience, the Nightmare Dungeons are way better as a more reliable option because there's less RNG in actually finding the rifts, but also there's no other people running around opening the rifts and closing them before you even got there. The problem is you need the sigils from somewhere. So let's talk about Season Blessings real quick. If you're going to do any of this, make sure you've maxed out your Urn of Reputation so you get a 20% boost to all reputation sources. Then the Urn of Chaos Nightmares, which gives you a big increase to your chance to find Nightmare Dungeon sigils from Helltide chests that have the Chaos Rift affix, so it synergizes really well. To be even more ideal, you'd be doing Nahantu dungeons with that affix on it, because those dungeons are much bigger by comparison, so there's more, rifts inside of them. You'll find that rifts come with their own mods, right? And each one of them could actually give you Infernal Warp as the reward, so a massive pile of that at the end of it, or even reputation boosting specific ones, which is a nice bonus too. There's no way to manipulate that, it's just RNG, but it is a thing that can happen. So basically, you'll be bouncing between Helltides and Nightmare Dungeons, and I'd recommend you always do sigils if you have them as the priority here. It is really nice though to go clear Helltides for the Whispers, get great XP, Whisper rewards, all the Helltide chest openings with the cinders you have, and when that's done, you know the Whispers are complete, you don't keep at it, you then go into the Nightmare dungeons until the Helltide refreshes on the hour. Then there'll be new Whispers available, and you can kind of get cracking on them to be efficient. But for Helltide tips, I definitely recommend you open the map and rush those portals ASAP. Other players are going to be getting rid of them very quickly, so you don't want to miss them. And don't forget that the Nahantu Helltide exists too, so when you've done the normal region Helltide, you can always go over there to continue doing Whispers. But I don't rate it massively high, because the Chaos Rifts here are pretty far from each other compared to the normal region. Don't forget, by the way, you can get Chaos Armor drops from Chaos Rifts if you're lucky, and apparently there are Mythic Rifts that exist. I've never seen one, none of my friends have, but apparently they exist as another potential bonus. But yeah, that's the current best method for batching Chaos Armor with the idea of farming Mythic Unique at the same time. Obviously, using this method with the Sparks, you're going to need the runes to craft the Mythic Unique at the end, but at least it gives you an infinitely reliable source of Sparks. And you're getting all these other benefits at the same time, especially from the board. And I think it's way more fresh and varied compared to just farming lair bosses forever. But I still recommend you do the lair keys that you have from all the other content, because you might just get a Mythic Unique drop and then you don't need runes. But yeah, that's my overview of the two main methods from Mythic Unique farming in Season 10. You got your warp and rep board refreshing method, or the classic lair boss farming, alongside, whenever you're really lucky, those tributes. And I find it's best done by bouncing between them. Both are fun and my sanity. And then you get to progress lots of stuff at once. If you guys have any extra information or advice on this topic though, let us know in the comments. But for now, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.